I supposed to call you Nana too? Like how I call my Sienna has her pet names? Yeah, I have a
Nana
Sienna.
came from when her brother was a baby. He didn't say Jenna, he said Nana, and he'd yell at her. She was like 2.5, and she'd run around his room, and he didn't like her getting into his stuff, and he'd go, "No, Nana!"
That's
Now he
so
calls her
sweet.
other things. Welcome to the Social Dialogue Podcast. We're a mother-daughter team, both working in the world of social media management.
Join us as we share our different perspectives on life today, including trends, fashion, friendships, and career, and how social media impacts it all. Together, we bring two perspectives to one conversation.
I'm Shane.
And I'm Jenna.
And we're excited to bring you this new episode of the Social Dialogue Podcast. So, hi Nana. How's your day?
Long.
Yes, you had a professor keep you late today, which is never nice. Yeah,
Yes.
well, we're glad you're here, and I am excited for you to meet yet another one of my amazing entrepreneurial women friends.
Are you all shocked she has another entrepreneurial friend and another friend and another friend? She's like, she knows everyone.
Well, I work on it, and so I'm going to introduce you to Andrea Hecht today. Andrea and I, like many of our guests, met through the Marketing Made Simple world, and we immediately clicked, as you would as well, because she's from, drumroll please, Short Hills, New Jersey. So I know how
My favorite place.
Well, wait. I don't mean to cut you off. I need to hold on to my Midwestern values.
Right, you're from Michigan.
So I'm from Michigan. You will
Right.
hear it in my accent. I hold
That's true.
strong to my Midwestern values.
Yes, but
And
she
yes, I do
lives
live in
in
New
Short
Jersey.
Hills. So
I
not
live
far
in
from
North
the mall,
Caldwell, New Jersey.
but near the mall,
Yes, near the mall.
the big mall that Jenna and I love
Love
so
the
much.
mall.
Because we've grown up. She's grown up going there with her grandma. So let me tell you a little bit about Andrea. Andrea is a life and purpose coach who helps women rebuild their sense of self outside of motherhood and reshape their life to create passionate purpose, thriving relationships, and sustainable self-care so they can finally remember what it feels like to thrive and make themselves a number one priority. So this really resonates with me because I know I've told you multiple times. I was not great when you were little. I felt like I lost myself. I did not enjoy it. I was exhausted. And now that you are an independent adult, or even once you got into like middle school, I really enjoyed being your mom. But when you were little, it was not my favorite stage.
Andrea, I was a runner and a vomiter and
Like she ran away in the stores or in the restaurants. I found her in the kitchen of restaurants.
Now I'm a runner at the bar. That hasn't gone away.
We can get into that.
So, her coaching combines deep exploration into what lights you up, tools for ditching the mom guilt, and the shifting of people-pleasing tendencies that keep you stuck in patterns of self-abandonment. So let me just say this, is that I think a lot of what Andrea does, although she focuses on moms, it's not all just about moms. And I think that a lot of what she talks about is pertinent for people at your stage of life too. So we can talk about that because I think no matter what chapter you're in, sometimes you get stuck in a rut or you get so focused. I know sometimes, we've talked about this, you can get so focused on taking care of everyone else, whether it's your friend or a sorority sister or your brother or, anybody, that you lose yourself. And so I think a lot of what Andrea coaches about is helping to get past that and find yourself again. And she's gone through several chapters in her life. She has a podcast, so we're excited to have her, and it's called The Next Chapter. So we're going to talk all about next chapters, which you and I have talked about a little bit since I'm in a new chapter. You're about to be in a new chapter. But Andrea, welcome. We are so glad that you're here today.
Thank you. I am so excited, and it feels so strange to be on the other side. I'm still behind a microphone, but to have someone interviewing me. So thank you so much for having me.
Well, we're so glad that you're here. I know, I was up in New York this weekend with some of our Marketing Made Simple friends, and I didn't get to see you for good reason. You had a lot going on. You've had a lot going on. So Jenna, I know I also told you, Andrea is a survivor. She has just recently finished all of her surgeries. I think all of your treatment. And she looks amazing and is happy and healthy and back on her way to her new chapter. So we're so glad to have you here.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It feels great to be back in front of the computer and doing what I love.
Well, good. Okay, so I'm going to kind of start with our First question, and it really is about next chapters because Jen and I focus on that a lot. And you have a podcast called The Next Chapter because you have gone through turning the page and going through several new chapters throughout your life. What would you say is a constant every time we go through get into a new chapter? What do you think is sort of the constant that happens, and how do you move forward?
I think the constant is that we always have choice. I think it's something that people tend to forget, and that's why they do stay stuck, is that they feel as though they've gotten themselves in a position. For me, beginning after postgraduate, I was working at Merrill Lynch. And I was doing corporate event planning. And after September 11th, I won't go into like all the details, but I saw the second plane and had a life-changing moment and realized that I wanted to do something more socially rewarding. And so I went into teaching. I got a degree in teaching. I taught 3rd and 4th grade for the New York City Board of Ed. And then I had my son. And for a while I was at home, and then I went back to school again, and I got my life coach certification. So I share all this because I made deliberate choices each time. And also I have a master's in elementary education. I'm not teaching young children anymore, but a lot of the skills, transferable skills, stay the same. And so I think a lot of people also have tremendous guilt that they spent all this time either in a job or on a degree or something like that, and they're not continuing to follow that path. And so I think that's why people also get stuck. So to go back, choices always stay the same, and your transferable skills that you build, they're going to go with you. Even those contacts that you make go with you.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And when you make those choices, obviously repercussions come with that. That comes with any choice you make. So what are those like highs and lows of your choices, and what can you expect as you make a choice for the next chapter of your life, especially for someone like me who is going to be making hopefully a lot of choices in the future about where I want to live, what I want to do, who I want to stay connected with after college, things like that. What are the highs and lows of that next chapter feeling?
So I think something else to plan for is to plan for pivots. That when you have these life moments, so mine was September 11th, and then I went into teaching and absolutely loved it, but then I got pregnant and wanted to be home, and then went back to, get my life coaching degree. And then, as you mentioned in the beginning, I had a scare with breast cancer, and so I took a slight pause. We need to know that in those moments that we might need to pivot a little bit, and that's okay. Learning to become flexible. I think it's also important to understand the power of reframing, that when we do have some kind of setback, maybe we're in a position that we didn't enjoy and we want to move forward and do something else, that we can recognize that again, it wasn't a waste of time. Like, think about reframing. Okay, maybe I'm not enjoying this anymore, but I have the choice to make, knock on a new door and take, again, those skills or something that I learned, and not looking at it as like a setback. I think so often people think that they've lost all this time or they wasted all this time. But again, I'm really big on looking at the reframe and, the glass half full rather than the glass half empty situation. Also, again, I'm a big believer in that there are never any mistakes, that again, it's a learning experience. And so if you think that you got involved in the wrong job or with the wrong friends or something like that, that friendship are in your life for a reason, a season or for life. And so those ones that are there for a reason, okay, maybe they're not the ones that you need to hold on to as you move to your next chapter. And
I think that's true with career. I have made so many career shifts in my life. I mean, I graduated college in 1995, and so 30 years. I haven't been in the same career all the way, but I feel like each change, each pivot I've made, I've kind of taken what I learned from that last career and built upon it. So a lot of what I do in my very small business is very relatable to what I did in my first job, which was at a huge company. But we do a lot of the same things. We have the same kind of methodologies, even though I'm in a different industry, totally different kind of thing. But, you kind of take what you learn from one and snowball it into the next. Each of my entrepreneurial efforts, I've been in this one since 2008, but prior to that, they didn't each last as long as this one has, and they just sort of evolved into the next thing. So I think that happens too. And one of the things, Jenna, you brought up was about friendships and how things can shift and evolve, and things are going to shift and evolve, once you leave college. And we've talked about a lot how much we love all of your friends, and they're just wonderful. We got to hang out with them last week, Andrea. I felt like I was in college again. It was great. I was one of the girls.
So jealous.
You were.
So it was so
you
fun.
were.
It was so
Everyone
fun.
loves you, and they
I
probably
love them.
love you.
They're the best.
And I think you like them all more than me, but it's
No,
okay.
I don't. No, it's. I don't have them without you. But I love them. But I do think that there are people, not those particular people. I think those are your friends for life. But there are other people that you've seen in college, that you've known in college, that you're friendly with, and those friendships will probably evolve. Some of them you may become closer to if you're in the same city, and some of them may just kind of fall away. And that sort of happens. I think your generation is in a more position because of social media. I mean, for us, when Facebook started and we were all reconnecting after like 20 years of not seeing each other, it was amazing. You all will never actually lose touch unless you need to or want to. There may be people in your Snap feed that are there forever. It doesn't mean you have a streak with them, and it doesn't mean you ever snap them again, but they're just sort of like part of your world. And that's a difference between like our generation and your generation. I think that's kind of cool.
It is really
part about
cool.
my generation, that we all can stay together. There's like definitely positives and negatives of social media. And I was talking about that in, I think it was my art class. We were talking about like children getting social media at a young age. Oddly enough, like how does that have anything to do with my video art class? I don't know. I mean, more random things have gone on in there. And it was just very interesting, like my perspective of it versus like a parent's perspective of things like that. So, yeah.
What is your perspective of it? Do you think there's an age where someone's too young to be on a screen like that?
I think I was too young.
I think you probably were too.
I had great coaching, obviously. I think now teens, like 12, 13, I think Instagram has that teenage filter, which is nice, but like I think how it got brought up was like things still slip through the cracks. When you're on Instagram, it's not a perfect algorithm. And I just thought, I think you need to be a little bit older. I think social media has gotten to a better place, but also a lot worse place where you can really stay in connection with your friends and know where they are all the time and things like that. But at the same time, it can be really dangerous if you're not well prepared.
Well, it allows you to stay in touch with people from all different chapters of your life and connect and keep that network going. So if you are looking to knock on a new door, that you have that built in through social media. I mean, I've connected with people from my days at Merrill Lynch, my event planning, my teaching of friends, and have looped them in since. So that's pretty cool about social media.
Yeah, I agree. So Andrea, do you have any, and this can be social media, or it can be next chapter, it can be whatever you think. Do you have any advice for Jenna as she is about to graduate? She's starting her job hunt. She is actively networking on LinkedIn, and she's about to go to a new city. We don't know where yet. Maybe in your neck of the woods. We'll see.
Not Kentucky.
But, she's not coming home.
Okay.
We know that for sure. So she's headed off to a new strange land. But I mean, if she lives in New York, she has lived there before for a summer, but it's different when you're an adult and on your own. So any advice that you would give to her about how to approach this next chapter of her life?
So congratulations. This is really exciting. I actually have started working with some women your age. It happened, I was talking to one of the moms, and then she loved what I was doing, and so she said, can you help my daughter? So I have experience with that. But even personally, so I, like I said, grew up in Michigan and moved to New York 12 days after graduation. I knew a couple people. I think the idea is, again, going back to, you have so many choices in front of you, and to look at all the different opportunities that are available. I think something else that's really important, and I talk about this even just with anyone, any age, is as you're starting out, rather than right now, like obviously the goal is, you want to get a job, you want to move, you want to feel settled, you want to make money, all and be self-sufficient, all of that. But to focus on either some kind of word or feeling that you want to gain. And then you have that grounding point. So when you do have all these choices that are going to be presented to you, that you can run it through that filter of, okay, this is the feeling that I want when I live in this new city, or this is a particular word or something. So I think that's really powerful. Keeping an open mind and recognizing that each one is a stepping stone. And so this woman that I'm working with now, she had a position and she was looking for something else, and she felt badly leaving that one place. And I said, no, you're like starting to plant seeds. That you might have this like big canvas that you want to fill in, but thinking about each time, each call, each step, each person that you meet, all of this, you're planting seeds rather than getting so overwhelmed with the bigger picture of everything. And then there's something else that I don't know if you're familiar with this book, the Never Enough book. Have you heard of it? I can't off the top of my head think of who the author is, but it's very, I think people, all generations do this, that they're constantly chasing like the next best thing, that there's never enough. They never feel settled enough in what they're doing. But recognizing, slow down, that, this is a moment in time, and that if you also have a growth mentality, that you're forever learning, and this is one moment of your learning experience, that's really important also.
Yeah. And so kind of going off of that, living in the moment, not always anticipating the next chapter, what do you have for people in my shoes who are about to close a new chapter and not are thinking about the future, especially as a senior in college where jobs are on the horizon? What is your advice for just living in the moment, especially for someone more my age?
Well, going back to the social media thing, love social media. I mean, that's how I connect. You and I, both of you guys, I've never met in real life, but feel like I, especially with your mom, have a solid, friendship. And so social media is incredible. But we also need to recognize that social media is filtered. And so when you're starting out, you don't know someone else's starting point. And so we can get really wrapped up in the comparison trap. And again, the same woman that I was talking about, how we were talking about planting seeds, we had a whole conversation, and she was talking about how she's starting, kind of this little side hustle, and it's not going as much, compared to some other people, and how do these influencers have so many followers and all this stuff. I don't know her full story. So we have to be very careful that we stay in our own lane and that we focus on what makes us feel good. And again, going back to that word, that when you do find those moments when you are kind of comparing yourself to others, pull it back to what that word or feeling was and run it through kind of that test. Is this making me feel good? And so if it's not, then recognize, okay, I need to maybe change my attitude towards something. Again, when you meet people, be genuine in your conversations and your connections, and you never know where that can turn. And when you say some friendships are for a reason, for a season, you never know when you might need to, again, knock on that person's door that you haven't spoken to in a while. And just because you kind of fell out of touch doesn't mean that you can't rekindle a conversation years later. And again, the forever learning, I think that it's so important to recognize that whatever it is that you're doing, you can always gain so many new skills, and be open to whatever, even in a job. Maybe it's not your first job that you absolutely were dreaming about, but it's a learning opportunity, and it's an opportunity to meet new people, and one, again, step.
I love that. So think about friendships, and you know that I am the queen of Jewish geography. It's my favorite game.
Yeah.
And I feel like through life, like we collect friendships and we build on those. And some people stay close and some people are sort of more out in the periphery. I think it's rare that we would just be like, I'm never ever communicating with that person again. But I think they're like a reason or a season, they kind of come and go. And I know, Andrea, you've been through some changes in friendships through the years. Through friendship changes through the years, Jenna has as well. And I think that's just something to sort of expect as you go into this next chapter. But I think for all of us, I'm in a new chapter too. And, now I'm all in the Mahjong group.
I need to learn that.
Yes.
I need to learn that in this chapter.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I
The
just
mahjong,
learned.
Yes.
I just
the whole
learned
table
about
and everything.
2 years ago. Yeah, I have a table. Well, not a table. I have a mat on the table. I don't have one of the fancy tables that you can see at like we saw in Harrods in London. But, I
Not
feel
yet.
like, not yet. I can't imagine ever having one of those tables.
Anniversary
That would be
present?
crazy. No way. No, you know what I want? I want that necklace. You
I do know.
Anyway, but I think that, in each season of our lives, the friendships kind of evolve and change. And it's sort of like, I'm not one of those people that had a really close friend group in high school and those are still my friends. I think there are people like that. And I don't pass judgment on that. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think both Jenna and I think you too, Andrea, like we've sort of evolved into different groups of friends that sort of meet the need and whose needs we can meet in each of our, chapters as we go. So it's kind of cool.
100%. And as you were saying that, it was interesting because, we spoke briefly about my breast cancer journey and just speaking about friendships. I heard from people from all chapters of my life, even the ones who I, no longer really talk to on a regular basis, that when they heard about my journey, because I was so public about it, they reached out and said, wow, I'm sorry to hear what you're going through. So don't write people off, unless there's like real genuine reason that this is just a horrific person that you can never ever imagine having in your life ever again. I'm not saying don't do that, but I'm just saying people change. Like our needs change, our priorities definitely shift as we move from one chapter to the next. And so I think it talks about being open and just recognizing, okay, maybe they're not my cup of tea right now, but who knows in the future what will bring.
Right.
So
and then at the same time, if it is a toxic, unhealthy relationship, that's not a reason to, being friends with someone for a long time isn't a reason to stay. You do have to protect yourself and take care of yourself. And I have certainly been through that.
And so have I.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, and so that, like I said, that's very important. But again, recognizing that at some point there might need, reason to reconnect.
Yeah. And so kind of to tie back everything to social media, since that's what we do, for you, how has it helped you through your latest chapter from both, from Instagram to Substack to your podcast, everything like that? How has social media been an influence on you?
It's been incredible. I know you said, social media. I have a daughter just turned 14 and I have a 17-year-old. So I've seen how toxic social media can be for younger kids, the snap map, where everyone is and just constantly nose to phone. But for me, it's allowed me to connect with so many people that I wouldn't necessarily be able to connect with so easily. Just given, in all my different chapters of life and being able to share where I was, what I was up to, continuing to be able to network, and most recently being able to share my journey and being able to inspire others that I might not as easily be able to do if I didn't have social media at my fingertips, and be able to post and allow people that really all over the world. I was a French exchange student in high school, and my French sister and French mom, I reconnected with them through social media. And my French sister is a flight attendant for Air France, and maybe 5-10 years ago we found each other and we met up. And now my French mom has seen my whole journey. I haven't seen them in a very long time, over 20 years. I think we went to visit them maybe 25 years ago. So it's really cool, like for the friendships and being able to stay connected too.
That is so cool. I love that.
That's so cool.
And you started your Substack really right after you were diagnosed, just a place to share your story, right?
So I started it the day after. I started for a couple reasons. This is the work I do. My podcast is called The Next Chapter. My life coaching business is called Fully Informed Life. I am, with my teaching background, again, using my transferable skills, I'm all about continuing to educate people. I no longer educate the third and fourth graders, but that is just at my core. That's a core value of mine. And so I felt the need to be able to share with people in the messy middle. And not once I've been able to fully process everything, but I wanted people to be able to crack into my head and see this is really what happens when someone's going through something. And then I also did it for myself because it was very therapeutic. And I told you before we hit record that I've, the entire time since March 28th, have been writing, but it was only recently that I've been really publicly speaking it out loud and sharing my story. And that's a totally different experience too.
Well, your Substack is beautiful and has definitely been, like you said, the messy middle. There's nothing glamorous about what you've gone through, but sharing your story definitely gives the rest of us an inside look into what you're going through and allows us to empathize and care for you. And so thank you for being public about it. Not everybody is comfortable with that, which is also their choice. But, I appreciate that you did because it helped the rest of us. Even if we weren't there, even if we, have never met in person, it allowed us to send you good thoughts and know what you were going through.
Well, I appreciate that. It wasn't just for, I was sharing my breast cancer journey, but it's anyone that's struggling that hits that road bump and, that, what moment and what happens and how do you process that and how do you make the choices? I had a choice to go down in the dumps and spiral in this chapter, or I had a choice to pick up those rose-colored glasses and say, okay, yeah, this sucks, but I'm going to view this through a rose-colored glasses lens and start to move forward and find those moments of happiness in this chapter.
So for people who are out there who haven't read your words, how can they find your Substack?
They can find it. I'm on Substack called The Next Chapter, HER. And I am on Instagram at Fully Informed Life Coaching. And then the podcast is on all the major podcast feeds.
And I highly recommend it. Jenna, anything else that you want to ask Andrea? I know she spent quite a bit of time with us today.
Just thank you. Your story's super inspirational, especially having cousins who have gone through it. Hearing from someone else besides my cousins has been really inspirational. I'm so glad we got to hear your story. So thanks for taking the time out of your day to speak with us.
Well, thank you. I'm so excited for you guys to be on this next chapter, doing this together. I know this is something, Shane, you really wanted to do for a while. We spoke about it, and I'm excited you...
Yeah, and I feel like almost every guest now, I'm thank you for all of your help. But seriously, Andrea, you were the first one I talked to about what kind of microphone do you buy and how do you do this and what is the software? So there were multiple people that I took notes about how to make a podcast, but you were the first one that I reached out to, and I really appreciate all your advice. So thank you. You have great advice in all areas of the world.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us today, and we're so happy to have you here.
Thank you
for having me. Take care.
Okay, do you want my Facebook group?
Yeah, I heard you have a really good one.
This one will get you. You ready?
I'm ready.
My student needs to get his ballot in the mail. Are there any mailboxes on campus?
No. No. Oh my God. What is your IQ?
What is your IQ? Why is this a thing? Why is a parent... Did her kid actually call and say, I don't know where to mail this? I don't think so.
No.
I think she is just trying to micromanage this. Whereas, what if she just said, remember to get your absentee ballot, and then the kid takes it from there. They get their ballot. He might call his mom for advice on who's good for his at-home local government. That's fine. That's fair. We do that. But, he needs to figure out how to find a mailbox himself. He can certainly use the little computer he walks around with in his hand to find out where is there a mailbox on campus.
It's that easy. Go on your phone.
It's really that easy.
That's really bad.
That's my social media of the day. I mean, that's my stupid Facebook group thing of the day.
Well, I need to eat because it's 3 p.m. and I haven't eaten all day. I've had class.
That's not good.
I've had class.
Okay, I'm going to Pilates tonight, and then I'm meeting Dad out for dinner.
Where are you going?
I don't remember. Somewhere over there by the Pilates place.
Oh.
This, I think, is going to be my last level 1 class because
exciting.
I like the 1.5 a lot, and then I couldn't fit it in this week. But when I get my new pack of classes, I'll just start looking for 1.5s. So.
Okay.
Okay. Adios.
Okay. Love you.
I love you. Have a great day.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us on the Social Dialogue podcast. If you liked today's conversation, be sure to leave us a 5-star rating and a review and share it with a friend.
Keep the dialogue going with us on social. Find us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube.
I'm Shane.
And I'm Jenna.
Thanks for listening.